Alright, today I'm going to be reviewing the Botorro folding exercise treadmill. This is kind of a semi-unique design. Well, actually I probably shouldn't say that. There's a lot of different manufacturers that are using this folding design now. But this one is actually a full-size treadmill with the folding design, and I haven't seen one like this myself. I'm sure there are others out there that are like this, but this is the first one that I've seen that's a full-size treadmill that uses the fold flat design. And this is really handy when you have a small space where you're trying to use a full-size treadmill. My office isn't huge. It's not small, but it's not huge either. So I wanted something that I could maybe slide under the couch or put in a corner that didn't take up space like my previous treadmill, which was a full size but non-folding flat. It basically did one of those folding stand-up designs. So this one is it's a nice treadmill. It's got some nice features on it, and it also has some things that I would have done a little differently if I were designing this, and we'll talk about those. First thing you see is it folds pretty flat. It folds to about 7 and a little bit over 7.5 inches in height total. So that probably will not fit under most sofas. If you want to fit it under your sofa, you're probably going to have to put risers on the on your sofa to get it under there. The other thing is, moving this thing around. Even though the frame is aluminum, this thing still weighs about 163 pounds. So it is, fairly heavy to be jostling around and sliding, and it's got the feet on the bottom are have rubber pads on them, so it pretty much sticks to carpet, tile, wood floors, whatever. I've got carpet and I've got wood floors. So since I actually store it standing up, I didn't want to put risers underneath the sofa in my office. I mean, my sofa is actually pretty high already. It's my sofa is about 4.25 inches off the ground, but I didn't want to raise it up to 7.5 inches. So I chose to put it in the corner, and what I did is I got some furniture movers or exercise. These actually are exercise sliders, and I take these and I put them on these, or I slide the whole device over to the edge of the carpet, and then I basically line up these rubber pads right here with these guys, and then it allows me to slide it around on the wood floor and get it to where I want it to be, without having to pick this thing up, because it's fairly heavy. One of the design flaws, in my opinion, is this power right here. So this plugs in at an angle at the bottom. My camera is deciding to go in a different direction. And which is fine if you're storing it flat on the ground, but if you want to store it up, and it clearly, you have the ability of storing it up because they've got these rubber pads on the bottom of it, you have to unplug this. If you don't unplug this, it's gonna, if you look at it straight down, see how far that sticks out from the body? That sticks out further than the pad. So what ends up happening is you stand it up, and then there's down angle force on this power plug, which is kind of important. You don't want to be messing with AC power, and you can end up jacking up your power port. The cable, is probably fairly easily replaced, but the power port is pretty integral, and you do not want to be messing with that. So it's a good idea if they had put this on one of the sides, either side, it would have been fine, rather than the front. So just a bad design choice on their part. To power it on, you've got a on-off switch here in the front, and that's like the main power cycle for it. flat, that's pretty much it. I mean, you're gonna, you know, tilt it up. It's got wheels on the bottom, which probably, yeah, you can see them right here. There's a wheel right there. So you got one wheel here, one wheel on the other side, and you tilt it up. And then once you tilt it up, then you can, at an angle, you can kind of wheel it around. But like I said, it's 163 pounds, so it's not for the faint of heart to be moving around. I'm gonna actually stand it up and show you how that operates here, and then maybe talk a little bit more about it once it's put together. But it's pretty easy. You're just going to these latches here on the side, these are gas-powered struts, which you'll see better once we get it up. But these gas-powered struts, you have to take these latches and open them on either side. Open position. Let's see here. Yep, open position. And then we're going to stand it up. So I'm going to pause the video to get the camera at a better angle, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we're going to stand this guy up. And, fairly simple. You just grab onto these handles and bring it up, and the gas-powered struts, which are down here, help this to come up. This part doesn't weigh all that much. It's basically, you know, plastic on an aluminum frame. These legs right here. So now that it's up, you have to make sure you lock it in place. If you don't lock these two struts in place, as soon as you start putting any down pressure on this, it will start going down to fold. So make sure that you lock them in place once you get done. This folds up. You can put a phone or tablet or, you know, whatever media device you want on here. There's speakers that are built in here, and it's got Bluetooth built in, so you can pair this with your phone or tablet or, you know, any device you want to put on here to watch something on. And then you can control the, you know, media, volume, play, pause, next, previous track right here. And then the bottom buttons here are pretty self-explanatory. Start, raising the speed, preset speed, variables, lowering the speed, and stop. It's got a safety cable, magnetic safety cable that kicks here, so that it won't turn on unless this is on. Actually, I haven't powered it on yet, so let me power it on real quick. Alright, it's powered on. Alright, it's got an LED display here, beeping, telling me that my safety cable is not engaged. Now it is. There we go. And then, you know, we can set, or actually hit start. Let's do a countdown. And we start moving. And we'll use that 2 mile per hour preset speed. From a walk perspective, I mean, this is a treadmill. It works like every other treadmill that's out there. You can feel the springiness as you step. So it's got nice springiness to it. The actual belt, to me, feels a little thinner than the previous belt on my other treadmill. That's a kind of a subjective view on my part. Obviously I can't tell you how many millimeters thick this is compared to the other one. It just feels thinner. It may not be thinner, but that is what it is. So if you want to, ramp up the speed, want to go to 4 miles an hour, you press the 4 mile an hour button. All right, and there it goes. So it's pretty straightforward. If you fall or you trip or whatever, I mean, it stops in less than a second. And it does that annoying beep. You got a couple of cup holders. And one of the other things that I wanted to say that I think was a bad design flaw. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because my previous treadmill had the same thing. These power cables are always too short. So unless you happen to have a power outlet very near your treadmill, which I don't, you're going to have to rig. So I had bought this 14 gauge single extension cable for my previous treadmill. So I basically use this, and I just put the tape on there for safety. That way it doesn't become unplugged if somebody bumps it. So this basically allows me to double the length of the cable. If you're going to do this, you have to buy, I would say, I'm sorry, and I don't know if I said 14 gauge. This is actually a 12 gauge. So you need to really have at least a 12 gauge power cable, because treadmills use a lot of amperage. These motors use a lot of amperage, so you need to have at least a 12 gauge power cable so you're not causing your cables to overheat and causing damage to the motor because it's not getting sufficient voltage and amperage to run properly. All right, well, I think that's pretty much it. Just, I mean, it's a treadmill, not a whole lot to say. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.